Runs 4th of December. It's 16 minutes past 10 a.m. here in Australia, and just a quick video blog. I'm going to cover some stuff on Sharpe Capital, the markets, some stuff coming out of the US in regards to tax and the IRS I want to quickly cover, and a couple of other tabs that I've got. And this is probably going to be the first video of a few today. I've got a whole heap of tabs open. I really want to cover a whole heap of stuff. So the first thing is Sharpe Capital. What I've noticed is that their token sales started last night, and I went and had a little bit of a dabble in their Telegram group. So I wanted to know a little bit more about their alpha platform and a little bit more about how the actual tokens are used and how they actually work for you in regards to passive income, because passive income to me is very important. I first started looking at Spectre. Spectre also has a token that's going to be utilised in a way that allows any of the holders to obtain a percentage of the liquidity pool, and these certain things allow me to earn money on the side based on money that I've got held within the platform, and it makes a lot of sense. It's like getting a dividend from a share or a stock. It's like having interest in the bank, even though there's no real point holding fiat currency because of depreciation and CPI and things like that, and the cost of living just keeps going up. So we've got to find ways of earning more money. So the thing is, the alpha platform starts in 7 days. The token sale started last night. When you put money, when you put your value of tokens, or the number of tokens, or when you invest into Spectre, what I found was a little quick note from Lewis at Sharpe, and he talks about the 3 components that go into calculating your monthly Ether payments. Now, the first one was all relative to the number of SHP tokens that you have, and that was a proof of stake. So once you're invested in Sharpe Capital, you'll have, say, 10,000 tokens, and those tokens will then obtain a percentage share of the liquidity pool that's calculated at the end of the month based on the activity throughout the whole platform. So it means you can earn a little bit of income from your stake, and you don't necessarily have to use the platform. You don't have to be doing your predictions or that type of thing. You can actually just be invested in the platform and earn some money. And I think that's a first start. That's positive. Number 2, activity on the platform. So the amount of correct predictions you make increases the percentage of stake that you'll get, or the amount of Ether that you can obtain at the end of the month. So for someone who's active in the platform, this is more exciting for them. I suppose it means that they can get invested in the platform and earn a return, not only from making correct predictions, but from making more correct predictions over a period of time. So the more accurate you are, the more money you can make, which makes a lot of sense. The third one is your reputation. So as your reputation points go up, and I think it's between 0 and 1, when you first sign up, your reputation starts at 0.5. So based on your positive and negative predictions, if you make a positive prediction, your reputation goes up, and with that, your payments at the end of the month will also go up. So there's a lot of positives here, and it's sort of what I like about it is it's interactive in the sense that if you're invested and you're using the platform, there's rewards for being involved, and obviously if you're going to make good positive predictions, it's a win-win. So Sharpe and Spectre, very similar markets, in part of the market, and I think they're going to sit alongside each other and do very, very well if that's your thing. So it's worth having a little look at. The reason why I did like initially, like I said, is the passive income component. So things like Populous, PayPi, the Salts, they all have a passive income component which allows us as the token holders to earn some extra money. So what else did I have there? There is a page on the tokens if you're interested in getting involved and looking to earn some residual income, whether it's from predicting or actually just holding the Sharpe token. You can. There's more information on the website. They've got a whole heap of stuff on their mediums as well. I'm always big on just making sure that you keep up to date with their releases of information. That's why I had those 2 tabs open. Next one is the US Senate moves to criminalise non-disclosure of cryptocurrency ownership. Anyone that follows me knows that I'm all about privacy and decentralisation. I'm a little bit Anti-government. When I say anti-government, I'm anti-bullshit, really. Like the last 15, 20 years, I mean, if you want to go back further, politics has just got worse and worse and worse. It's a big game. It's embarrassing to watch them. But I think, I mean, I don't live in America, so I can't really speak for how things go on a daily basis. I have been there, and it all seems very civil. But there are a lot of negative stuff's coming out in the US in regards to loss of inalienable rights and things like that. And in regards to the IRS and things, as I've got older, I've realised there's no contracts involved. I don't have a contract with a government that does not, I don't believe, has the best interests of the people involved. So I've really moved away from it, and I don't even get involved. And I'm all about sustainability. You know, making sure that you try to get away from government dependency in any format. You know, I don't necessarily support voting. In fact, I don't support voting for a system that is corrupted and is broken in so many ways, and we've got to look for alternatives, and I think there are some alternatives. But it's very interesting to see that the US Senate is trying to put through a bill. It's a S.1241 bill that aims to criminalise anyone with the intent of concealing ownership or control of a financial account. In the way I look at it is, you know, I don't think anyone has to disclose anything, in a sense. If I ask, it's like if I went up to my neighbour and said, how much money have you got in the bank? They don't have to tell me. You know, even if I had a badge and a hat and a gun, they still don't have to tell me. I mean, that's their right. It's their life. They can do whatever they want. And I think this is really important. Whether you're, people I think always focus on the, it's the, what's the word I'm looking for? The minority. It's always, they're talking about, oh, what about the criminal who has $1 million stashed away? Well, you know, leave that to the law enforcement. You know, if there's a criminal who's got $1 million stashed away, I mean, again, that's the criminal's business, isn't it? He's chosen that life path. And if he's been able to make that money from contractual agreements, in a lot of ways you go, well, that's his money. I mean, you could say that if, I mean, as long as no one really got hurt. I'm not supporting criminalisation, but I'm supporting the actual concept of the fact that it's their business. You know, it's like how many times you see someone ram raid a home, a suspect, and then go, oh, sorry, it's the wrong house. You know, like, there's some big issues with the way that the world is run, and like I said, I think it's too much of a focus on minorities, and people's rights are being taken away through legislation, and we've got to be really mindful about the legislation and what's being put forward. And I'm lucky in Australia. I mean, in regards to what I declare as income, the way I look at it, it's my business. You know, and I do have businesses. I do earn income. If I just want to disclose that information, I'll make that choice. No one can ever ask me to disclose it. And that's the bottom line of how I lead my life. So have a look at this article if that interests you on Cointelegraph. I'd be interested to know what people think about privacy and these type of things. Do we believe that the government has these rights? I don't think they do. Next thing is Kaiser envisions $100,000 Bitcoin high. If you've been following Cliff High, if you've been following any of the, I suppose, Cointelegraphs and things, you know, during the year they talked about, I suppose, you know, even $5,000 for Bitcoin was a major moment. When it hit $10,000 earlier this month, or just in November, it was an amazing moment, and it happened very, very quickly over sort of like a 2-week period. And then it, you know, sort of settled back, and it's sort of playing yo-yo at the moment. But when you look deeper into the supply and demand and the economics behind blockchain, then you look at the technology, and then you look at the 1,000 different crypto assets, and look at all the platforms that are coming out, just like Spectre and Sharpe Capital, and all these opportunities and all this different stuff, and artificial intelligence, and there are so many opportunities. And the thing is, Bitcoin at the moment is pretty much the middleman to all the exchanges. It's the first point of call for to enter the market. We saw Bitcoin on, what's that TV show, The Big Bang Theory. I think that was last week. So that went to X amount of million users or viewers in the US. So there's, you know, you've got that flow. It's the first thing that people sort of know about. Now, for 100,000 Bitcoin, I wouldn't surprise me. When would it happen? If we can hit 10,000 in 2 weeks. And Cliff High was talking about, I think 13,000 or 14,000 by February last year. I think we're going to smash that pretty quickly. He might be spot on there. Maybe it'll only sort of creep up from here for a couple of months, and maybe a little bit of a retrace at Christmas. And we've seen a couple of bumps, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But it wouldn't surprise me if Bitcoin gets to 40, 50,000 by middle of next year. Maybe the end of next year if things are a little bit more conservative. But as all the hedge funds, all the big industrial, incorporated money comes into the market, you're going to find that the price of Bitcoin is going to go through the roof. And I think there's no doubt that 100,000, 500,000, even a million in the next 10 years is not out of question if the system stays the way it is and Bitcoin is that middleman to the exchanges, etc. It's just probably inevitable. So next thing is the market. So now I just quickly brought up a couple of charts. What we saw was, and I talked about my videos, I think I did the video on the 28th or 29th of November. I was talking about how it was accelerating. We were due a correction, and a couple of hours later or the day later we had it. And I thought, this is it. We're probably seeing this correction hold up through to Christmas, and 3 days later it bounced back very aggressively and sort of got back to the same position it was, about 325 billion, and then it just kept going and it got up to about 350 billion. And I thought, and I didn't know what to say. I thought this is just going to keep on going and going and going. But what I did notice that we've had a correction, but it was a 3-day correction. It was quite aggressive. There was a double bottom here, and there was definitely a very similar movement in the altcoins as well. So there was definitely a big movement out of the system, back into fiat and wherever it goes, or just on hold on the sidelines, waiting for the energy and the confidence to come back, and then someone's triggered it again. When I say someone, I'm talking about someone with 30, 40, 50 billion dollars. There is someone, there is a group that's got 20 or 30 or 40 billion dollars who's playing some games. And as you can see here at the end of this chart, what I want to do is bring up this, I'll just get rid of myself. There's 350, so we hit 352. This is within hours of doing this video, so that was at 8 o'clock. And then we're talking about an hour and a half later, $20 billion. So $22 billion in an hour and a half has left the market. That's the entire total capitalization, including Bitcoin. So it wasn't just solely Bitcoin, but if you go down to the altcoins, excluding altcoins, was 154 billion down to 147. So we're talking 7 billion there. So 7 or 50, you're talking about 45, 43 billion dollars was removed from the market within an hour and a half. So that's not the common folk. That's not you and me. Most people who've got a portfolio and just watch it happen. We're not necessarily sitting there timing the market. I mean, how do you time a $30 billion exit of the market? You don't. Most people, cooking their dinner and they come back and it's 30 billion's wiped off the market. However, it has bounced back a little bit, and I'll just have a little look here. I'll refresh. So that's 334. We're still there, 334. So it did get back down to around about 227. So what's that? About $7 billion has come back in. But again, you can see this tooth here. And we have had a little correction here, but it's gone back up again. So what I feel is going to happen, we're going to see more of these little steps. So as the market cap gets bigger and we've got a wider diversification of token distribution and held, what would you call it, interests or positions, you'll find that the bigger movements will be smaller, or the movements out of the market will be smaller. We won't get these big teeth as often. This would have to be a major market movement. Because the cap was so low here, someone with the same amount of money, 20, 30 billion, caused a catalyst effect in the market. Now, when they do it here, it doesn't last as long. And plus, because the interest of the cryptocurrencies and the mainstream is starting to obtain a little bit more interest, over the next 12 months, we're going to see this shark tooth, or some sharp edges on it. That's how I feel. It's going to come over here somewhere, and we might have some plateaus, but I don't think it's going to be as long or as big as we've seen in the past. So, but that's, I'm speculating, and I think some of it's, wishful thinking. In all essence, I've got a nice little portfolio, and anyone that's invested right now would be really, really hoping it does go up here, as long as it's a nice even spread of Bitcoin and altcoins. Then everyone's going to be happy. Anyone that's looking to enter the market, I always say you've got to be mindful it is on a high, and we could have one of these retraces at any stage, and that's what you've got to prepare yourself for. If you do enter a market at the top, there could be a month of red on your portfolio. So if you are talking to your friends and things, I think you need to have that conversation. Sometimes it's just good to get your feet wet and get into the market and get involved. And I've got a couple of my staff here who've got involved, and they've done really well, and I feel good about that. And we had the right discussions. We talked about it, and we talked about what was good for them. And I'm not a financial expert in any sense. I'm just a normal guy like everyone else, and everything I put here is not financial advice. It's just, you got to talk about it and share information. Otherwise, we just don't learn from each other, and I'm big on that. So let me know what you think of the markets. What's going to happen with this? Are we going to have a retrace over Christmas? That's what I'm it makes sense. I mean, the stock market always normally tends to come back a bit, goes a bit flat, people pull out, and then we see beginning of January or just a few days before it starts to take off again. So it's a very fast and evolving market, and I think that's the thing we've got to remember. It is a 24-hour market, and a 7 days a week market, which is very different to the stock market, which is a certain amount of hours a day and a certain amount of days during the week. This is a forever flowing and a lot of energy in the space, and that just says to me that everything that we think we know about stock markets and reading graphs and things does get thrown out of the window quite quickly, because the markets change so rapidly within 2, 3, 4, 5 hours or a day. Or even a week is not a long time in crypto. Well, it seems like a long time because so many different things can happen. So that's all I've got today. That's my video. Check out Sharpe Capital. Have a look at the markets. Get ready for Christmas retrace, possibly. Maybe just a couple of more bumps in the road. This might be a bit of a bull trap, the thing that we've just seen now. Wouldn't surprise me if that's a bit of a bull trap. Just in here, maybe it will come back down over Christmas, which just means get your money together. Instead of spending too much money on rubbish this year, maybe you want to put some money aside for your Bitcoin and your altcoins. That's all I got. Thanks for watching, guys, and yeah, keep your eye out for my next video. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments and on my Steem it. And thanks for watching. Cheers.